growing up without my dad being around was kind of normal in a way, but it's almost like as I look back on my life, I see how challenging it was and how life could have been different if there was that role model, that father figure around in order to support me in particular areas of my life. And so I've had to do a lot of shifting and reprogramming on myself to sort of father myself in order to bring myself into more of my masculine energy and really operate from that energy. And yeah, let's talk about it. Hey superstar, it's Gavin here from Wake Up Fulfilled. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a subconscious mind specialist. I help people reprogram their subconscious identity, their subconscious personality, so they can create the reality that they want automatically. Success should be automatic, should be something that you can't help but do. And so we offer a free subconscious mind diagnosis session at neutralityshifting.com. You can go get that at neutralityshifting.com. There'll be a link in the description, or if you're on Instagram or Facebook, it should be up here somewhere. Um, so be sure to leave a comment and engage with this video. If you find something in this video that's extremely powerful, be sure to quote me, leave a quote below. The more that you engage in the video, the more you learn and retain. Okay, engagement is so important. Don't just passively watch me. All right, so one of the areas that I struggled with is just being assertive, just telling people no, just asking for help, just going to the shop and, ordering something or asking a question about directions. I'm lost or whatever it is, I need directions. I'd get anxiety around things like that. And that's not to say that's the feminine energy. When I say feminine energy, it's not to say that's like I was like in my feminine energy, because that's not feminine energy. I was just shy to ask for help and ask for things, and so I used to really struggle with that, and it would manifest in relationships where I was unable to do certain things, and they would then perceive me as, not masculine, and obviously that would hurt the relationship because they didn't feel protected in the relationship. And so not having a father around can really affect, things just as little as like asking a question or asking for directions or knowing what you want from the menu at a restaurant. I was very indecisive. I didn't know what I wanted to eat. I grew up in a really rough neighborhood, and when you grow up in a really rough neighborhood, it's kind of like you're fixated on certain foods. And the certain foods that I was, fixated on was Chinese food, Chinese, and West Indian food, and chicken, fried chicken, right? Stereotypes, fried chicken, grape juice, grape drink. Let's get some grape drink, right? Kool-Aid, right? And so there's these stereotypes of watermelon and all these kinds of things. And so like I was stuck in that energy. And so when I met one of my girlfriends, we started going out. It was really hard for me because she was black herself, and she had more experience with trying different things because she didn't really grow up in a rough neighborhood per se. Like, and so she would go to Indian restaurants and Mexican restaurants and all this stuff. And for me, that was extremely uncomfortable for me. And so I realized through reflection now that was due to being a fatherless son, because just be a man, just go do it, just go explore, be adventurous, be spontaneous, be able to do these things and not worrying about what people are going to think of you or what people are going to say or whether or not you're going to enjoy it or whatever it is. Just go out there and explore, be a man and create, And so that's something that I really struggled with in my life in terms of being in my masculine energy. With women, I had toxic masculinity from teenage, with hip hop videos, and rap music, right? Girls shaking their booties and twerking and stuff. You know, uh, you have a certain perspective on the divine feminine or the woman, the woman, and the hood, like it teaches you to act a certain way, and so you have to portray yourself as hard. And so, like, I would rude to women. I was rude to people sometimes, but I will mainly rude to women. And I found that like it made women want me more in a strange way. And so I continued using it because it was reinforcing the idea that this works, and so it's normal to be like this. And so with women, I was like toxic. I was a toxic, man expressing toxic masculinity. In actuality, deep behind that is insecurities, right? And so um, when I see people acting in a certain way or acting a certain way, it's deep insecurities, it's deep patterns. Like if you're acting hard, you're not hard, right? If you're acting hard, I mean, implying acting, you're acting, right? If you're acting hard, you're not hard, right? And so what's underlying that is deep insecurities, deep fears of people taking advantage of you, or you having to show up in a certain way so you don't get manipulated or whatever it is. And where I grew up, smiling, if you're gonna smile, it's not a good thing. If you step on someone's shoes, you can get stabbed or killed for that. If you step on someone's shoes by accident, we call it crepe here in the UK, crepes or crepe. Right? If you step on someone's crepe, you can get killed for that. You can get beaten up for that or whatever it is. And so things like that, smiling was a weakness. You wasn't allowed to smile. And now people are like, oh, Gavin, I love your smile. Right? Smiling from the inside. I'm smiling from the inside because I've cleared out a lot of garbage, reprogramming my subconscious mind, doing a lot of energy healing on myself and raising my own vibration and changing myself and stepping into my divine masculinity rather than like a toxic masculinity. What is it to be a man in this day and age? What is it to be a man these days? There's a really good book called The Way of a Superior Man. I got it over here. David Diada. Let me just take it out here for you. I recommend all women and all men read this book. It's a very powerful book in understanding men. And if you're not pushing your man or motivating your man to be more like this, your relationship will suffer. It talks about a man being on purpose. It talks about a man being in his element. Because when he's on purpose and he knows what he wants and he's focused, he will actually treat you better. A man needs to have purpose. A man needs to have mission. And when he has purpose and he has mission, he's going to treat you differently. Whereas if he doesn't have that, it's like his mind's going to be, a part of him's always going to be focused on like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not making enough money. I'm not being the man that I know I could be. And so they feel insecure about themselves. And so they're not showing up as their best self in a relationship. So that's something that I had to learn. I had to go to seminars like Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within seminar. There's Tony Robbins up there. Reading books like this, by David Goggins. And it's really like learning how to develop this masculinity. I grew up around mainly women. My mum brought me up most of my life. I have a lot of uncles and kind of father figures around me, but I never really had someone. I mean, my mum had like, she saw people, she had relationships, but never really was taught, how to be a better man. Okay, I had to learn through my own experiences and getting out there. One of the first like manly thing that I think I'd done was actually going to Tony Robbins' seminar over there. I actually flew. I saved up some money, paid for my ticket, for Tony Robbins. I think it was like $600, and I paid for my flight, my hotel, and all that stuff. And I was flying by myself from London, UK to New York, New Jersey, more specifically, to go see Tony Robbins. And I had to figure things out for myself. I had to figure out how to get a taxi and like how to, you know, and I was quite young. I was I don't know, 2010. So I was 23, 22, 23 years old. Um, and so during that time, it was really hard for me to do that. A lot of anxiety and stuff, and that was the first time I had traveled abroad by myself, and so I had to figure things out for myself and talk to people and connect with people and show up in a particular way. And then a year later, I had went to Thailand. I was actually invited out to Thailand by my millionaire mentor, and that was a scary experience because not a lot of people speak English, and uh, you have to kind of figure out the ropes yourself. And I was just jumped in the deep end of the pool, so to speak. And yeah, I had some help, but that was an anxious time for me, and I had to really learn a lot about myself during that period because I was living in Thailand for around 6 months. And so that was a journey for me. And so things like this, these kinds of experiences of getting out there really helped and supported me in becoming a better man. But one of the most powerful things, the next most powerful thing I should say that I've done is like hiring coaches, working like one-on-one with coaches. One of my coaches, he is married, and like he's just a really good man. And so it's when you're around someone like that, it rubs off on you. You want to show up better. You want to be a better person, and that's why I love coaching. I love to be coached. And if you're someone that's never been coached before, you'd never understand the levels until you do it. If you get a really good coach, you'll understand the levels. I just got off a coaching call with one of my students, one of my clients. It was her first session, and she had some sexual abuse, some sexual trauma. And within one session, I got rid of her sexual trauma instantaneously. And she was like, "What the hell is this? How does that even work?" Um, and we got rid of her like blocks around being authentic and like showing up and saying no to people and things like this. And so that was amazing. And people don't realize the depths of like what a coach can do for you, and getting the right coach can do for you. It can radically change your life in many different ways. And life's short. And so for me, I've had so many coaches, good ones, bad ones. And you always learn, you always grow and accelerate your growth with coaching, and getting courses and programs that I've found. And so for me, when it comes to being a better man and stepping more into my masculine energy, being a fatherless son, um, you want to really connect with a higher power. You want to connect with God. You want to connect with the Most High, whatever it is for you. Ascended Master Jesus Christ, right? Whatever religion, background, or faith that you have, you really want to connect in and have some sort of faith. That's going to really accelerate your manhood and being a better man. Um, so it's kind of interesting. Like one point, I had went to this seminar. It wasn't a seminar; it was a workshop, and like what it was is it was an experience where we went to the French Alps, and we went hiking in the French Alps. Like I'd never done anything like that before, and at the time I wasn't doing very well. I was ill, like I was ill, sick, and in that experience, we'd done this sort of therapy thing. When we got back to where we were staying in the Airbnb, we done this sort of therapy thing where like they said they basically found out that like my dad was never around and stuff, and like you're holding on to wounds. And I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm not holding on to any wounds at all. And then they got me to do the process, and I realized there was a lot of wounds there that I didn't even know was there. And I was bawling, I was crying my eyes out, like it was crazy. And lo and behold, around 24 to 48 hours later, my dad, for the very first time, reached out to me, literally after healing that trauma, right? Reached out to me on Facebook and said, hey, how are you doing? I love what you're doing on the internet, blah, 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 right? And yeah, it was interesting. About 2 weeks later after that, we got on a call. And after speaking with him, I realized like I don't really want to connect with him. I don't want to connect with him because he didn't apologize. He didn't, say sorry, for not being around and all this stuff. He just didn't care. He just was thinking about what he could get from me. He asked me, how can I help him? Like, can you help me? Can you help me? Okay, and so red flag. That's a red flag to me. Like, no apology, no nothing. And so my heart to that is just like, it is what it is. I healed myself from it, and so now I can move forward. And I know now that, like, I made the right decision in not contacting him in the past, and it is what it is. And so, if you're going through this, if you've experienced this in your life, just think about how that affects your life. And that's why it's important for us when it comes to relationships that as men, like, you need to pick the right one. As women, as the woman, as the divine feminine, you need to pick the right one. And you need to be legit on each other, man. Like, you need to be truthful to each other. You need to be honest. You need to be faithful. Because if you're going to have kids, it's going to be challenging, It's going to be work. And you need to bring these kids up in certain ways where their mindset's strong. Because this world is tough, right? And we want to make sure that we're bringing up families and dynamics that are supportive and loving and caring, compassionate, and growth and compassion, right? And if that's not happening, it creates disharmony in our world. It creates disharmony for a lot of people. And we don't necessarily want the world to be in imbalance, right? We want the world to be loving and peaceful. And so when it comes to having kids and having children, we want to make sure that, we're legit. Like, we know we want a relationship. We know we're ready for a relationship. We know we're ready to commit. We know we're ready to have kids. You need to be sure. And you need to understand that, when you're bringing a child into this world, it's like a big deal. And like, there's a lot of responsibility for this emotional well-being, for its mental well-being, for its physical well-being, for its spiritual well-being. And understanding that, this child needs to evolve in a way where it's going to support the world going forward, instead of just having kids specifically just because you want to see little versions of yourself. We need to think bigger. We need to think bigger for, yourselves, your family, the legacy of your family, but the legacy of the planet as well. And so there's more to things just having kids. And I was watching Dr. Phil yesterday, and he was talking about how these two couples, they don't have no idea what it takes to have a successful relationship. And I think a lot of people they don't realize what it actually takes. And he was talking about finances, your emotional well-being, mental well-being, and just understanding that person on a deep level, and the longevity, and what are the roles in the relationship, and all of this stuff, what roles you're going to play. Because when you handle all this stuff in the beginning of the relationship, then you kind of know where you're headed. You got visions for each other. Someone that really inspires me, or a couple that really inspire me, Stephen James and Tatiana James. I think they're married now. They're YouTubers, so you can go look them up. Stephen James has got Project Life Mastery, and Tatiana has her own, YouTube and stuff like that, and you can check them out. And another couple that really inspire me is Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. They really inspire me. And so it's very important for men, fatherless daughters, fatherless sons, to do the work, because there's a lot of things that happen just from them not being around. A lot of things emotionally, mentally. And when you heal that and you grow that and you work on that, it can radically change your life in huge ways. And I can tell you from my own experience, just by being a better man and like growing into where I am now. I still got ways to go, still things to work on. I'm glad at where I'm at. I'm proud of myself. All right. And I want you to be proud of yourself and what you can, go forward and achieve and make happen in your life going forward. Okay. All right. So that's about it for this video. If you would like to work with me and my team, we offer a free subconscious mind diagnosis session at neutralityshifting.com. There'll be a link up here in Instagram, or if you're on YouTube, down in the description. I love you. I appreciate you. And remember to keep learning, keep growing, keep expanding, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.